What's up, guys? I'm back here with another Build Beauties today, and I have a special guest. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey guys, Casey Hansman. I've been a retro member for a while and been around since all the old score days.
Yeah. And this is a deck that me and him talked about. I know we've messaged each other about it a couple times here or there. I know you've messaged
Mhm.
it in some of the group chats I'm in, but energetic Majin Buu, the villain stack. Now you do run a mix of the two stacks. What's the
Mhm.
idea behind this pairing here?
As much anger as fast as possible. The level 2 is one where you could argue for a Fat Boo and Super Boo. I have it as Fat Boo right here now. I've used Super Boo in the past for competitive events before. I think either one. I think you're almost splitting hairs. Either one's really good. Initially, my thought with the Super Boo was to get the immediate anger not hit effect and to search out my drill. As you'll see as we go through this, there's not a lot of dead cards.
Yeah, yeah, it's very concentrated on the attack lineup, and something I noticed is that so you're trying to go MPPV. A lot of people just try to go all in on the physical attacks, and they just run like a bunch of disaster drills and stuff. But you actually have quite like not a ton of energies, but you have a fair amount of energy attacks in this deck, and you do run
Mhm.
meditation as well, which as a MPPV deck is a really uh, odd choice. You want to kind of go through these attacks here and kind of explain the reasoning here for that?
Yeah, sure. So I know the glaring thing you point out, meditation. Uh, I can use it if I want to. I can pitch it for energy, or I can use it itself for an energy. Um, with the mastery, I can even give myself the one anger if I just pitch it from that. But there are a decent amount of energy attacks when you'd think I would want to go more towards physical stage lock kind of thing as a backup slash slow my opponent down. Um, I think most orange decks, if you took out some of those, they'd be drills. I don't want to draw drills in this deck. It's Ricky Bobby. I want to go fast.
Yeah.
So you see, I only have one target for the energetic at the beginning of the game. It's Crying Drill.
Oh
And then the
wow.
rest, I hope
No
to either.
possession drill. That's
I
it.
hope to. Mm-mm.
Okay.
No, because there's not drills in it.
Yeah,
So
that's fair.
I don't want to draw my drills. I want to either search them out from the life deck or get them out of the discard pile.
Okay.
Um, So yes, what I was finding and testing a lot was if I play one drill and pass, my opponent plays two or three setups, drills, allies. They're putting more on the board, so when we finally do get to combat, I'm at a disadvantage.
Yeah, that is one thing. I think every card here is searchable for one, but also um there's only 5 drills in the deck. I
hmm
I know Joe
Like I
I
said, one gets yep. One gets searched out at the beginning of the game, and then, like I said, with the old level 2, once you reach that, you can fetch the absorption drill. So after that, there's only 3 dead cards in the deck. After that, if you go that route,
mhm.
if you go Fat Bill, you get it's still pretty good value, but
Yeah, just to segue back to text, the original thing here, you don't really
Mhm,
run any that many searches either. Like there's no PowerPoints. You do have only 2 elbow rush. There's no
mhm.
extension. Is that just kind of it? So did you just find that like running the drills was just kind of like not needed?
Yeah, I mean it's MPPV. I mean the cards that you named, PowerPoint, Extension,
Yeah,
there's no anger.
yeah,
There's a lot of endurance on PowerPoint, but this deck still packs a lot of endurance, which is really nice for avoiding getting crit.
yeah. Um, and like I said, instead of like I said, a lot of the MPPV decks even they're still like possession drills and multiple disaster
Mhm.
drills, but you're only running one disaster drill, which is interesting. Why only one? Is it just because of the splits or?
Um, like I said, I don't want to draw. I don't want to draw them. I want to pull them out of the discard pile.
Yeah.
Um, so I mean, if I level, it's going there. If I need to refocus, you'll see there's one five finger focus,
Yep.
or five finger blast. I think five finger focus was a scorecard.
Yeah. Yeah. Or
But if I
yep.
level, I can get it with that refocus. I can juke it back out. Um, there's also orange collision. So it's more focused on, like I said, this just the straight speed. I don't think you'll find a faster MPPV deck. You can certainly find a better one or one that performs better. But in terms of just sheer speed, it's like I said, Ricky Bobby.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. I think there's just so many attacks.
Concussive strike was one that I think you could find room for in here too if you're trying to fool around with those last few cards.
Is that That's not
It's the
the.
Majin one. Um, it's the
Oh,
I
yeah,
might be
yeah, yeah.
saying
Yep. I'm thinking it's orange card.
might be
Yeah.
the wrong.
No, no, that's the right name. It's
Yeah,
six
it's
stages, raise anger one,
technically it's
lower.
styled if you're Majin. So
Yeah, raise anger one, lowering a two, rejuve two, banish two. That'd be an
yeah.
interesting choice. You do run Dev
hmm
Blow, of course. The card's money. Beatdown makes sense. Elbow Rush, again. Why? So why only two over like three? Is it just really because of the low volume? Again, like you didn't just like because I almost feel like because of the low volume, you almost want to just max it out.
hmm
But also, it's kind of I could see it being dead once you hit by the time you hit like level three, maybe.
It can be dead because, like I said, there's not a whole lot of drills in there. So if I'm taking damage or whatever, it's just the one anger. It gives me one anger, which in the drill, which is probably why I have two in there at least. But I don't know that's one I guess you could go up to three, or you could potentially even take out. But
Yeah.
it's not bad to have those. One thing, a lot of these actually do have hit effects. With examination drill is really good.
Yeah, I'm just going through here, and in the first line, I'm seeing what five attacks: the elbow rush, charge kick, um, punishment, collision, and knee strike all have hit effects. So that's I think what all those cards are three of other than the elbow. So that's interesting.
hmm
Do you find that well, when you're running this, um, does like orange stretch like pop off regularly? Because one goofy thing about so you're not
hmm
running the Super Boo level two, and you are running Absorption Drill, which is interesting not to run that. But then on top of it, like you reveal the cards instead on three and four. So do you find that stretch is sometimes kind of like not as good as as you would think it would be?
Sometimes it's better definitely when you're the early levels. I mean, it's easy enough to do. You just throw that then the mastery.
Yeah,
And then to get the value out of it. But you're right. When you get to, I think three is the one where it doesn't work very well, and a lot of times I'll just not even use the reveal effect instead because I want that extra card.
yeah,
Um, but it just depends. Of course, what your hand is, what the opponent, the situation, of course. But level four, really just keeping revealing the card instead and drawing another card. Usually, if you've got hand advantage at that level, you've won the game.
yeah, yeah. Level four, and of course the level four can grab you any of the named cards over here, which we can get into in a moment. But
Right.
yeah,
hmm
so the physical lineup looks really strong. You do have some tech with punishment. You don't run orange stare down, and you do run orange punishment,
hmm
even though you do have drawing.
Anger
All,
and endurance.
yeah, I was gonna say also another thing with
That's it. Yeah.
punishment is punishment hurt you at times because you do want it. You do have some drawing on those higher levels.
Not usually. Only level four is where it would hurt really. I guess it could potentially hurt level one if you choose to use the hit effect to discard and draw. But
That's true.
other than that, it doesn't really hurt me too much. Um, in some cases, it'll really help me too because other decks certainly can draw more than this one.
Yeah, yeah.
But the two endurance, it's another physical attack. I think it just gives this deck more value than Orange Stare Down, but this is definitely in the minority. Most decks that you'd be playing Orange Stare Down over it.
Hmm. You do run Candy Beam though, so when you don't run Orange Stone, you do have
hmm
Candy Beam. As
Yeah.
MPPV, I know some people. There are people that don't like to run Candy Beam, but you did opt to run Candy Beam and the three setups that work with it. Have you found Candy Beam is like has it been really good for you? I mean, it does have. I do like that it has wall breaker tech in
hmm
a sense. If it's hit, you're getting beat down. That does help with anger, Vic.
Yeah, I was definitely gonna bring up Wall Breaker. That's definitely the obvious thing, but for me, Candy Beam and the treats will probably never not be in a boot deck for me. Those setups are just too good. They get around things like you can attach to Nappa if you needed to. Not that this deck needs to
Yeah,
really per se, but it gets around of a lot of weird rulings that sometimes your opponents wanna um stall you with. Like if they're I'm drawing blanks on some of the names, but you can get around like Icarus if you need to take Chi Chi away. Um
yeah. To start landing those hit effects.
or the orange drill that protects your other drills. It gets around that kind of stuff.
Traction drill, yeah.
Um and then that also gives me the ability to not play orange stare down as well.
Do you think so? Have you ever considered that instead of Candy Beam running Orange Stare Down, or would you just always think that maybe Candy Beam would supplant that?
I think Candy Beam is better,
Yeah,
personally, because it gets around a lot of that stuff. It also gives me extra effects once I have those. So I mean, if you're playing drills, you've given me anger. That's not something you want to do. Cookie and candy, booze candy, booze cookie are pretty good too. It's just that extra effect after that, which stare down doesn't give you. And then stare down, of course, doesn't get rid of wall breaker.
yeah. Why? So you do this the one again, like seems like the drill search is pretty light. Seems like you're just really trying to maximize the anger. Again, the rage and eruption at the numbers. Why not three in rage? Is it just because it's not banished after use?
So you can see, that is one thing. There's no banish after use on rage. So one thing is if you get to this deck, can pop off first combat easily. You can get to level 3
Hmm.
and be ready to go to the next 4 on your next action, the next combat. You can't get there with no resources though.
Yeah,
So if I have eruption, it's really good, but it's banished after use. It's gone. So some of these like charge kick and rage end up being an option once I get to level 3 a lot. Um, and level 3 and 4, they really do give you the option to be a little lighter on some of the cards because you can use it again, or you can pull it out of the discard pile. So like with the
that is yeah,
elbow rush, there's only 2 there. I play one 5-finger blast because of that. It's just another chance to get a drill out of the discard pile for what I would plan to be one combat or until I level.
yeah, and that is that's what I honestly kind of forget sometimes is the three and the four allow you to like they kind of have the same Goku kind of esque effect where like Draku running pure anger is just
Mhm.
all it is. You're just trying to draw into anger card and like in
Right.
Black Goku, and the three and four Buu essentially have the same effect, but just from the pile instead of life deck or the discard pile. Um,
Yeah, and
that's
it's
why.
it's more of the three has to be your own styled. I
Yeah.
believe 4 can just be from any discard, any attack.
Yeah.
That's level 4 is where you get to real fun stuff, like if you're playing against Roshi and you take his named attacks or
Oh my God. Yeah.
other stuff. It just you get really weird interactions. My favorite combo on level 4 though, probably, and I've done this a few times to win the game, is at 4 anger, and then I'll attach chocolate to my own drill and then banish it.
This chocolate, I thought chocolate can attach.
I believe candy is the only one that can't do your own
Oh, that's. Yeah, you're right.
because you can't use candy on your own setups
You're right.
because you're tutoring your own setups pretty easily with Boo.
Nice.
Um,
Nice.
but yeah, the other two can be any drill, any
Huh.
ally.
Yeah, I know the setup one can attach. I forgot that because that's right
Mhm,
because Red Boo can like do like Candy Beam and counter kick on his like own controlled anger drills. That's why controlled anger drills is so good with
mhm.
Boo, um, because you can just nail that with a couple of different cards for 2, 3 anger boost. So that's pretty cool. And then two meditation. So why you're MPPV guy? Why did you opt to run two
Mhm.
meditation over say like adding in like more 5 finger blast or something else?
Um, it gives me a little bit more sense of control, I think. That is a good point. You certainly could run 5-finger blast. I'm not exactly sure how to be like, no, you're wrong. This is the way, kind of thing. Because you certainly could take those out.
Yeah,
It does give me a little bit more control. Especially with a lot of physicals and having a high AT. I want to keep your stages low.
yeah,
I don't want to give you those 10 free stages if I've got you low as one thing. But
that's true.
I will say with that being said, one of my favorite things to talk about with this deck is that it's never lost to Rampage and Go tanks, and that's one reason I'm very confident in saying this is the fastest MPPV deck.
Yeah,
Um, and it's gone against some, I want to say probably like around 5, maybe give or take, so somewhere probably between 4 and 6 time matchups with Rampage and Go tanks. Um, I played some good profile, like good Saiyan players too with it. But it's got a lot of just really good value anti-anger from Orange Punishment, which another reason you can run that over Stare Down.
Is
Orange
anti-anger.
Knee Strike is Orange Knee Strike might be the best anti-anger card here because it's a focused physical,
Yeah.
hit lower your anger 3, and it's not banished after use, so I can chain that.
Oh my. Yeah.
Eruption's a good one. Dead
Yeah.
Blow is one of the best value cards ever for this game.
Yeah. I love Death Blow. I don't play as much Beatdown anymore, so I have not been running. I have just have not made a lot of decks of this card anymore.
Hmm.
But still, it was like my favorite card for majority of the game, Panini era for sure. So,
Yeah,
um,
it's almost like one of those cards where you don't know if you should run it, but every time it happens to you, you're like, ah, crap.
yeah, yeah, you're totally right. Every time somebody plays against me, I'm just like, oh fuck. Like the other day, somebody was playing Energy Toss against me, which is Devblow in energy form. Just like
Right.
that's devastating card. Um, well, cool. You know what? I will say with the one comment I made about meditation, meditation also is very reactive, and you also don't need stages to use meditation for the anti-anger
Hmm.
versus like finger focus. I think the best anger decks right now, I mean, Ramp Go takes aside, I think like Knowledge Gohan and okay, well, Knowledge Gohan's the one like that comes to my mind immediately. That's like big MPPV, but a lot of the MPPV decks aren't like crazy on energies anyway. Um, a lot of them are a little bit more
Right.
physical oriented. Even Ascension Trunks runs like mostly stage damage attacks. So running out of stages to be able to like use those anti-anger energies, I can definitely see why another reason, and like you said, the you do have you because of Boo's high AT, you do have like a nice beatdown secondary condition. He does make all these orange attacks like pretty beefy. He's very easily like especially his first two levels have such good AT consistency.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah. I think it's like 4 above or 3 above at level 1 when you're finally below D,
yeah,
somewhere around there.
three above, he's in C. Yeah, yeah, that's really good. Um,
Yeah.
so
Now, there are a lot of MPs now that have really high AT, which is like one reason why I like to play Orange Confidence. You don't really see too much in Orange decks,
yeah, let's move into the
but it's got
blocks.
endurance. Yeah. Or I guess we can if you talk
No,
about
no,
the
no, no. Go
blocks
ahead.
later.
Keep,
But
keep continue. What?
just one thing real quick. Yeah, I mean it's got endurance. It's just one, but it raises my anger and makes my AT 4. So I mean, if I have orange stretch for example, that's 7 stages now.
Yeah,
I'm not relying on. I mean, if you're E or F, that's not 4 or 5. It's now 7.
yeah. That's one thing. So there are a few cards. Well, really, okay. There's like two cards really that I'm thinking of right now. But one of the cards that you run that's interesting is the confidence because you're just going pure anger. This is a card that I have not seen like anybody run in forever. I haven't really seen pure
Mhm.
orange MPPV um, since. I mean, Vegito was for a bit, arguably
Yeah.
before the nerf. But I have not seen this card really ran since Retribution days, and I think it does make a really good ad because you're not running a lot of drills. So this allows you to open up for that spot. That's really interesting that you're running that card. And like I said, in the mirrors, um, keeping that AT consistency really good. I think it's really interesting that you. It's cool that you can run this card in this deck and it doesn't feel like it's a hamper, or it's like because it feels like a lot of the orange blocks are just crowded out by the
Hmm.
drill searching ones. So
Yeah, and I don't know if that I really won by survival a whole lot. I might have a few times here or there. Um, but some people might think, well, what happens when you start getting that 5? You could have a 5 and 6 advantage, and it's just stuck at 4. Well, it's really more of just to control the tempo of the game. Um, if I can keep you like below like 3 stages or something, then I feel like I'm in a good spot. I don't necessarily need to be beating your face in.
yeah. We'll keep moving through the block lineup here. Refocus is just I
Okay.
don't think that needs really. I don't think you need to explain
Yeah.
refocus. Refocus is just silly. Um, you don't run Orange Flea. Instead, you just selling in all on the anger. You get the energy absorption and the energy catch at 3. Uh, I'm guilty of this a lot of times when I'm running blocks. But if I'm like a lot of physical beat in my deck, like I kind of skimp on the energy block sometimes. It's interesting that you still opted to go 6 of.
Yeah. The one again, another thing these both have is anger and endurance. So it's probably the top 2 value things you need out of a single card here. But a lot of things with, and this goes together with the low drill count too, and others, even with meditation or something, I got the mastery. I can just get rid of it if I need to.
Yeah.
So if that's the last card in my hand, and you're just passing over and over again, I might be more inclined to just grab that extra anger real quick.
And then you run two juke. I mean, I get 2/3. I guess. I'm assuming that you don't really need it at 3.
You could run three. I don't know. I probably just couldn't find enough space really myself. But I mean,
Yeah.
I just see nothing wrong with playing three, especially with you're trying to level, you get those drills back.
Yeah.
Um, checkup is the only style drill that doesn't actually have anger printed on the box, but worst comes to worst, again, I can grab one of those extra energies or physicals, whatever I don't really need if I want to pitch it.
Yeah. Um, I will say, one other thing I will say is, almost every orange energetic deck that I see has orange sidestep in it, and you don't have that in here. Is it just because, I mean, you do have stretch, which I did talk about,
Hmm.
kind of the loss of the synergy with the level 3 and 4 wanting to reveal instead of discard. Is that kind of maybe part of the reason why you don't run sidestep, or is it just because of the lack of endurance and anger? Do you just,
Um, well, yeah, like you're right. It doesn't have any endurance, which all but blocks except for juke and time do.
yeah,
Um, though for this deck, I think when I drew that card, it almost inclined me like, okay, this is the move you have to make. Whereas I can have options, um, without it per se. Yeah, I mean, if in my hand, if I'm not pitching it, it's just a physical block. It does nothing else. Um, you certainly could put that in there, but I personally just think that's more for like beatdown orange.
yeah, that's fair.
But that's just me. I mean, I've gone back and forth with a lot of people on this one. I just didn't find enough immediate value for it.
I agree.
Just in comparison, if you're throwing a physical and I want to use confidence or refocus or whatever, that's to me that's my anger on your action. So,
Yeah, that's true. I like that reasoning. I think ultimately like you probably it's really easy to get sidetracked when you're building orange into trying to
mhm.
add the combo cards in versus staying really focused. And that's where you get
Yeah,
into these like
orange.
muddy builds that just like don't work.
Hmm. Yeah, orange. You can definitely fall in the trap of trying to do too many things because orange as a style has so many things available.
Yeah. And then of course, time makes that staple card. Stare down over sphere as an anger deck. My only reasoning with that is because cards like, well, literally Orange Meditation specifically is like a reason
Hmm.
um, why I would run Sphere over Stare Down maybe in an anger deck at this point. Maybe Blue Defensive Effect might come back, assuming Blue kind of sees some more play ever. Could you see yourself like? Is there a reason why you pick Stare Down over like Sphere?
Um, as far as it would be good for like blue defensive effect if you're entering and throw it on me before I have a chance to play it. But
Mm,
for this, I don't think I could. Um, sorry, Josh Allen, but I'm not putting Sphere in here.
yeah,
Um, Stare down is just if you know to the point you made, like if I'm playing against you and you have orange meditation, if I enter it on you and I have stare down in my hand, 99% of the time, what's my move?
you're gonna answer. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. And I suppose, and
but
you've also, I mean, not to like answer, I'm answering my own question, but like it's like you've tried to keep the board pretty light, so you can enter every combat
mhm.
and have that initiative. All right, well,
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I don't try to pass too often with this deck, so
no, I like that. And then we'll just kind of, I guess, move on to the board here.
all right.
I mean, just pretty light. We've kind of already kind of brushed over it a bit, but you run all the setups pretty light. You start with them out of your deck, so essentially you only have 5 dead draws in terms of like getting entered on, and you draw them, on the reveal, and all of them are searchable, and one of them
Hmm.
is starting the game out of your deck. So actually, you only have 4,
Right,
if even if you're, if unless you know what I mean.
exactly.
So that's
Yep.
pretty
And then
crazy.
if you run Super Boo 2, if you run Super Boot 2, it's really cutting it down to 3 because you reach there, you can search out Absorption Drill.
Yeah, yeah. Uh, you run Absorber Drill. I mean, people go back and forth on which level two is better. Did you? Is there a reason why you picked this one over the Super Bowl? I too. I'm sorry if we did actually catch that. I know we had some discussion before this, but
Yeah, I know. Well, just to recap, if we didn't cover it enough, both are good options. I don't think you're going to go with a bad option. Initially, the first few drafts of the build that I did play in like OLT and the Ghoul tournament and stuff like that, it had Super Boo. And more, usually I get the immediate two anger because of very first combat. Not a lot of people are thinking, I don't not to do what their strategy is, So it's by the time I'd get to two, I'd get my drill out, and I'm getting that two anger because you've already done something,
mm,
and that it might have been your first action or second action. You didn't realize just how much anger I was going to gain or something. But I think my thought process to transition from two was that just that rejuve and shuffling back in, you just put value back into the deck. Um, and I think if I'm getting to level two, there's a good chance you probably didn't hang on to a physical block waiting for me.
yeah,
So I a lot of times I think I can still get that anger.
that's fair. I have found that this is like one of the best levels to be stuck on in the game. So I like have such a hard
Yeah.
time even in um it's really hard for me to justify the Super Boot 2 over this 2. It's just one of the best 2s I think in the game. There's the constant alone is great. The selective pick a card, shuffle it into your
Mhm.
deck is amazing. Um it's yeah, I mean I
Yeah, it's really good for people if I know you're running Wall Breaker too, because I can keep putting Candy Beam back in. But
yeah. Oh, that exactly. I've had that in my own builds where like Red Boo
yeah,
for example, I just keep looping Candy Beam and they can put Wall Breaker on me until they hit it until they eventually beat me in enough that they hit it and kill it. So
right. And that's unfortunately you're waiting for 3 cards out of 57. So
yeah. Well, with that in mind, with the Wall Breaker, we have mentioned Wall Breaker a couple times. Um, no, what is it? Investigation drill. Is that just because you have Candy Beam?
right.
Yeah.
I think so. I mean, originally I made this, and the tournaments that I played it with were, of course, before Wall Breaker really started making its return after Unleashed got the nerf.
Yeah.
So I guess that's one thing to consider with this build is that I didn't have it, but most of the levels other than level one, I think you should be okay if you get stuck on them. Three's a little weaker too. I mean, if I had to get stuck on a level, um, obviously four is the first choice. Then I think level two would probably be my second choice.
Yeah. One thing I was also going to say with the examination drill, or sorry, not examination drill, investigation drill, is that it
Hmm.
has like a pseudo, it has like the pseudo tactical drill esque effect. They can't lower your anger um, a bunch, so that would be
Hmm.
another reason maybe. But I suppose, what drill do you usually find yourself searching first in the deck? Like, let's say you turn one, you have your crying drill already out. You enter, you have elbow drop, or sorry, elbow rush in your hand. What is the drill that you're going to
Hmm.
grab first every time?
Every time, that's a good question. I mean, if I've got the card in my hand that's going to level me next action, Disaster Drill's probably not the move. Um, Examination Drill, possibly same kind of thing. I mean, if they have an ally out that I need to get rid of, that's definitely first choice. Um, Again, we talked about a lot of hit effects, so Examination Drill can kind of combo you off there. I mean, there's some cards in the deck that if you do it, or the right way with Energetic Mastery, Examination Drill, and say Orange Charge Kick, that could be 4 anger if it hits in one
Yeah,
attack. Now that's kind of aligning the stars and getting everything perfect, but
yeah,
it would then so that leaves Checkup. Checkup's probably the first one I would search for because you get that extra hand advantage, and like I said, you want to go fast. So if I know you're going to throw physical or energy, I've got my options. They're all going to gain me an anger on your action.
yeah,
Um, and again, the discard pile is kind of where you want that card anyway, right?
yeah.
So I'm going to level and gives me an option to use it again. So I'd probably say Checkup Drill would be the one that you want to get. Go figure, right?
Yeah. One thing I will say, and this kind of ties back into the tax. I'm thinking about this now, look as we address the board, but and again, maybe it's just because of the low number, it kind of goes with the whole idea of running low number of searchers. But you know, with these drills all being one of, it feels like the drill's not, the deck is definitely not built around needing the drills.
Hmm.
But also there's like you don't have like any cards that can recur them once they're gone, like banished. Um, Not that there's that
Hmm.
many of them, but they also are an anger card. I think there's the one anger card that's I forgot what it's like orange. It's a awakening card. It's a 5 life energy. If you haven't changed levels, raise 2, and then hit rejuvenate a non-constant drill, I believe. I can't quite remember if it's what was the you rejuvenate drill type. I think it has to be non-constant though, so maybe I guess that wouldn't be good if it's that effect. But it was just a thought.
Not. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah, there's not a whole lot of recursion, at least, to get them back in the deck, but I think I try to substitute that with just pulling it out of the discard pile. So obviously, if you're running removal black decks, dead blow, that can put that strategy back in. Like you said, I'm not relying too heavily on the drills, but they certainly help.
yeah,
Um, but yeah,
for
things
sure.
like orange collision and refocus juke, even five finger.
Yeah,
Um, that's kind of how I do the recursion for those. Um, but you're right, a lot of Majin Buu decks do have a lot of recursion that I don't have for this.
yeah. It's just the biggest thing is like I think it is really interesting and kind of goes speaks to the way that you built the deck is that most people with orange just really go all in on the drills and they push for the drill synergy so heavily, but you've just opted
Hmm.
to you're more about the attack portion, the instant and the power portion of the deck versus like the whole card pool, which is just so interesting because you know again, it gets to the
Yeah.
argument of the MPPV versus combo. How much of the mix do you want in those two? I thought this is just
Hmm.
that's what just makes this build very interesting. Is that you're just kind of playing it as just like a pure, attack. So it's I think
Hmm.
that's really cool. So how is
With
the deck?
elbow rush, sorry, I just want to recap real
For
quick
sure.
that I didn't mention that I kind of wanted to. I almost forgot. Elbow rush. If I lead with that and you have a block, are you calling my bluff?
Yeah.
You might if you watch,
Okay.
yeah, if you watch this video you are, but
Let
if
me
you're
just.
looking through discard pile, you only see two or three blocks. You might be inclined to block that one.
Yeah. That is actually a really good point. You it's a good fake out. I mean, I don't want to like it's gonna be a bummer if anybody like you play this exact deck and if whatever it gives the sauce away, but that is incredibly intelligent. And that's another good reason um, for the way you built it. That is a little sneaky strat. I like that.
Yep.
Um, so you've played this deck a bit. I know a fair amount. It seems like you've played it at multiple events. How like through your matchups, what has been like the good matchups and what's like the bad matchups? What are the strength and con of the deck in those matchups?
Um, Combat enders for sure are the or what would give me the trouble the most. So like Ascension Trunks could give me that Ascension Trunks, Ascension Roshi, just stuff that are good at ducking and getting out of there. Just because it's if they're doing that, it's going back to their turn and they're setting up their board, something that I don't want you to have much time to do.
Mm,
But yeah, I mean, other than that, of course, a lot of people have anti-anger now, which is why it's important to have anger in bunches. A lot of times, two actions is all it needs to level. But yeah, man, combat enders are as you can see, I don't have anything to prevent you from ending combat.
yeah, there's
Which I would say is the biggest weakness for sure.
yeah. I mean, it sucks that if you're not sane, you don't get suppressive strike. At least for the
Mm,
good parts of suppressive strike, you can still run it. It's essentially like I have to read the exact wording. I think it like does get like stomach crusher. I think gets around ball 7 better than like suppressive strike. I can't even remember because
mhm,
there's some weird different wording between the two. But stomach crusher is definitely like it doesn't push the anger gain. You know what I mean?
mhm, right.
So you kind of like are. It seems like it's just kind of a how did you draw kind of matchup against those common ending decks. the combat control decks. You know, it's like, did you draw the
Yeah,
ender? Like, okay, if not, we're going.
right.
So,
And Frank, I do apologize. My phone is at 1%. Looks
oh,
like this
okay,
has been draining me up pretty since. So,
okay.
any last? I hate to cut you short. I
No, no,
just don't
it's
want
all
to get
good.
cut out right away. Any other final questions or anything?
Uh, no, I really like the list. I think it's a really interesting pairing. You know, everybody was really on the Energito train, and just
Hmm.
Vegito in general. Uh, you know, and Boo has a
Yeah,
similar
go
card
tanks
advantage
as well
engine.
with rampaging.
Yeah, this is really cool. I think this is like this is definitely one of those secretly good decks. I think not enough people ever really played. So I just want to, I guess the
Yeah, I'd
ret.
say if you're facing off against other anger that's not Ascension, if you want to beat that rampaging go tanks, you're welcome.
Yeah. Well, in the interest of saving time, I want to thank you, Casey, for coming on
Yep,
and sharing this deck list. I think this would be really cool for people to try out and just to have. It was really good to hear from you, man.
yep. All right. Well, thanks for inviting me, Frank.
Yeah, absolutely, man. All right, everybody,
All right.
take it easy. Peace.